Just pull up the stock price of Sula Vineyards, because when it started off, I think it started off skittish, down about 6%, because it was, by the standards that they've set as well, a disappointing quarter two. Revenues were flat, margins were lower at 25.4 versus 33, net profit down 37%, better than estimates, but lower for sure. Rajiv Samant, CEO of Sula Vineyards, joins in to talk about what happened in the quarter and what the outlook ahead could be like. Rajiv, thanks so much for joining in. Good morning to you. What happened in the quarter, Rajiv? I mean, the revenue numbers were stable, but below the revenue, the operating numbers took a fair degree of beating. So what's gone in the quarter?
Yeah, it was a fairly tough quarter. In fact, the last couple of quarters, we have noticed definitely a slowdown in a couple of our key markets. Sula's sales are very much skewed towards urban areas. I would say something like 90% of our sales happen in urban areas, and we have been seeing some amount of consumer stress there. And then our most important market of Maharashtra also has seen slight degrowth, and that is our most profitable market as well. So in this quarter, what we have seen really is the emergence of Telangana, specifically Hyderabad, as a very important market for us, which is great because, you know, we've always been seen as a primarily two-state company, that is Maharashtra and Karnataka. Now we have this third state, Telangana, which is fast catching up to Karnataka. Zoom in sales there. Unfortunately, Telangana, due to fairly high taxes, is not as profitable as the rest of the markets. Hence, you see a stable sales growth, but a decline in profit. So Maharashtra has been hit. Mumbai and Pune have both really been weak these past few months for several reasons. We hope to see that turn around in the not so distant future, and the growth of Telangana that is showing on our EBITDA.
That's good to know. I mean, it's always good to have more markets, because at some point of time, hopefully Mumbai, Maharashtra recover too. But just before I get to the top line numbers, Rajiv, the taxes, I reckon, will have an impact below the operating line, or does it impact your EBITDA margins as well? Because the EBITDA margins also have cracked about 800 basis points.
It directly impacts our EBITDA margin.
Okay.
Because these taxes, they show up in our in the net revenue figure. So what happens is our ex-winery price is significantly lower in some of these states due to high prices, so high taxes. So it directly impacts at the net revenue line, but it has a far bigger impact basically on EBITDA.
Okay, fair call. Now, I heard you mention that there seems to be an urban slowdown. Now, it could be well in the key states that you are at, or countrywide. Just wanting to understand, because you would be looking at this in terms of cycles, right? Does this change?
Very much so.
Did the festive season bring about a change in the O&D quarter, or for now things are not quite turning?
So we have reason to be optimistic. I do feel that the bounce back, we're going to see it probably more in Q4. We still have a few soft concerns in O&D, chiefly due to Maharashtra elections, our most important state now going into state elections. A lot of restrictions happening as we speak in November. A lot of excise restrictions, so there is going to be a dampening effect in November. Though I'm pleased to say that in terms of wine tourism, things are definitely looking up for the second half of Q3. A lot of advanced bookings, and it looks like there's a lot of good festive days. So good things to be cautiously optimistic about. CSD, I would like to point that out. That's been a great performer for us, and we have good news. We've just gotten 4 new brands, including our top-selling Dindori Shiraz, approved by CSD. So that's some good news for the future. And we look forward to Andhra Pradesh opening up. We've been out for the last 5 years. We withdrew voluntarily, and we're going to be going back into that state pretty shortly. So some good reasons for optimism. In terms of the urban slowdown, Mumbai, Pune have been hit. Pune had some adverse factors due to, there was an incident that happened there which really affected sales in Pune for around 2 months. You know, there was where a car had injured a few people, etc., and the entire institutions across the The city was shut down for basically a couple of months. Hopefully, we are bouncing back from that now. So, reasons to be cautiously optimistic.
Rajiv, the other question is, when does growth in some sense come about? I mean, wine is a growing market in India, not quite a mature market. Wine tourism and some of that is also a very nascent stage. But when I look at a slightly elongated period, right, from December 2021, when I look at revenue numbers, they've largely been between that 125 to 175 crore mark. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's where the number has been meandering. So it's not a 12-month period. It's like a 3-year period that I'm looking at. When does this start translating into bigger numbers? Is there, or is there something else that is constantly happening which is hampering this?
Oh, we are very optimistic that it will translate into bigger numbers. The numbers, the macro factors for wine speak for themselves. I do want to point out that from 21 to 23, we showed very robust growth. Perhaps there was some element of restocking and overstocking coming out of COVID, and we've been seeing some amount of destocking, especially in wine, over the last 6 months. That's what we have really noticed, and that comparative will start to get much better from Q4 onwards and FY26 onwards. So we believe very strongly in the long-term wine story. These are still very early days for wine. We are trying to convert people, a person, 10 people, 100 people at a time away from spirits and towards wine, but it's happening. Sula is by far the strongest brand in wine in India. So we are very confident for the future. But it is a cyclical business, and we are seeing a slightly difficult part of the cycle right now.
Okay, so March 21, from nearly 385 crores to 516 crores, trading 12 months 579. Hopefully these numbers show an improvement as well. At 30 seconds, Rajiv, if you can, would operating numbers also show an improvement from the JFM quarter? I understand the current quarter is bad.
See, I've always been saying, we zoomed to 32, 33% EBITDA. And I was always saying on all our earnings calls, all our guidance, that it had reached a bit of an unsustainably high number and it was going to moderate. So you're starting to see that moderation. I do hope that we can show better EBITDA moving forward, but I don't see us going back to that 30% plus EBITDA situation. All our stars were lined up at that time. And I do feel that something more between 25 and 30% is more sustainable, and that's what we're going to see in the future.
That's candid enough. I remember this comment as well. But okay, Rajiv, unfortunately, we are out of time today, but would love to talk maybe closer to the end of December to try and understand how has the quarter been and what the new year brings in store. All the best. Thanks so much for taking the time out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
That's Sula Vineyards. A bit of a tough quarter. The management candid enough to say that the next quarter also might remain tough. Maybe Jan, Feb, March improves.